What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Adler Perspective. We appreciate you tuning in every day, every week. If this is your first time catching the show, we really hope you enjoy, and subscribe for more content just like this. Peace. Oh, also, enjoy this snippet of what to expect from today's episode. The brain is not just a negative story. This is your life at hand. You have to ask yourself, do I really want life change right now? Or am I happy with the life that I'm continuing to live? And yes, it just may be vocabulary. Yes, it just may be a quote-unquote story. But this is what's causing a lot of the issues inside of your life. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Adler Perspective. If this is your first time tuning into the show, I greatly appreciate you. And go ahead and go to the channel, check out the rest of the content, see if there's anything that resonates with you. If not, it's okay. Just enjoy today's episode. So, without further ado, let's get started. Today, we're going to dive into the topic of how questions we ask ourselves and the thoughts we entertain shape our lives. Have you ever stopped to consider the power that your thoughts and questions hold over your life? According to research, the questions we ask ourselves and the thoughts we entertain have a direct impact on our beliefs, emotions, and actions. And honestly, I only back this stuff with research for the skeptical person because I've personally experienced these things. I know how powerful it is for the thoughts that we entertain and how they affect our lives. And the thoughts that we entertain, honestly, on a different level, affect the quality of decisions that we're making on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're the type of person who's constantly entertaining, the same negative, just self-doubt, limiting beliefs, thoughts, in and out, you're not, 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to be the person who's willing to take a risk if you're the same person who has the inner thoughts of, self-doubt all the time. In other words, the way we think and the questions we ask ourselves can either limit or expand our potential for growth and success. For example, if you consistently ask yourself negative questions such as, why am I so unlucky? And I want you to ask yourself, do you find yourself honestly telling yourself this type of story on a day-to-day basis? Because I know I was there at one point in my life, and I still find that's why I know that there's someone out there listening to this right now that by all means is still telling themselves this story of like, gosh, why am I so unlucky? Why does this always happen to me? Oh gosh, of course this has happened to me. Why can't I ever succeed? And you may find yourself trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and defeat. On the other hand, if you ask yourself empowering questions such as, what can I learn from this experience? Or what steps can I take to achieve my goals? The power in just the difference in these two stories you're telling yourself is astronomical. One story is the death to you by all means and doesn't lead to anything productive. And just by simply changing the question that you're asking inside of yourself of, again, what can I learn from this experience? Or what steps can I take to achieve my goals? You may find yourself opening up new possibilities and taking actions towards your desired outcome just by changing the questions that you're asking yourself. So one of the best ways to start to break this pattern of negative self-talk, if you're finding yourself being that person and you're being open and you're being honest with yourself and you're being honest with me right now, and it's just us, it's no one else around, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be honest. To get any type of ground gained, to get any type of momentum, we have to understand where we're at right now, not where we want to be, not where we were, where we are right now, to be able to get going in the direction you want to go. So if you're that person, the first step in, changing that inner story, those negative conversations, is to spot, identify, and change. Of course, that sounds so simple, and if it was so simple, then everyone on earth would be a happy-go-lucky person, but that's not the case. So obviously, the information that we're going and we're sharing, it may be simple in context, in the idea, and you may get the understanding behind it, but application is a whole different story. So I want to teach you, and not just teach you, I want to walk you through, I want to guide you of how to apply this information into your day-to-day life. So step one, when you start to notice that story, you need to write down those stories. Again, if you're being open and you're being honest with yourself right now, then writing down this story of where you're at shouldn't be that traumatizing or that big of a deal. What are the common stories that you find yourself saying through the day, through the week, or even the past couple years? If it's been a big dry spell for you, if you can't seem to find your way out of this slump, no matter which direction you try and turn, and you feel like you just keep running into this monotonous wall over and over and over again, and you're saying to me right now, Connor, I want to do better, but I simply can't. So to this, I say, write down those stories you're telling yourself, and don't just stop there. Again, we get in this habit, we get in these cycles, this wheel that we just keep tumbling over and over and over again with, again, no end in sight. So I want to teach you how to find the end in sight. So when you write down these stories that you're telling yourself, I also want you to write in a better story. Oh, yep, I said it. It can't be this simple, Connor, but it is. I'm telling you. Write down a more empowering story instead, because if you don't have shortcuts, you don't have cheat codes for your brain, and you have to think of your brain. That's a form of therapy, believe it or not, is looking at things from a different perspective, and that's what this whole show is about. This is not some therapy per se, and it is kind of in a way. And here I am rambling on. But this is what you get. This is the empowerment behind this show. This is a real person talking to you. This is not someone who's perfect. By no means. This is someone who's just been through the process enough to know a little, know some cheat codes every now and then. And I'm trying to teach you the cheat codes. So I want you to look at this at a different angle. Look at this from a different take. Instead of tying all these complex meanings and emotions of how life's supposed to work, I want you to take a minute and say, you know what, if my brain is really a computer, how can I wire it? How can I code it? How can I program my brain for success? And by replacing or having stories to go to, So having stories to go to instead of those negative stories, you can pick up a note card. As silly as that sounds, it may be silly, but it's effective. Pick up the note card and read the story. And this is exactly how it's going to go in real time. You're going through your day, someone comes up to you, and, they tell you, hey, Joe Bob. They say, hey, Joe Bob, we need you to stay later. Sorry, I know you got plans this evening. You were really wanting to go to that soccer game, that football game. You're trying to get off work because you're wanting to hurry off and go to the bar. But sorry, we can't. We need you. You say, okay, sounds good. I'll do it. You walk away. The first thought that pops into your head is, you ready? Why does this always happen to me? Now, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it is a major deal. That is the difference between living a life, an okay life, a modest life, and living a spectacular life, living an outstanding life, living the life on your terms. It's just that small story that you're repeating to yourself. So we spot the story, right? We're back to Joe Bob getting told they have to stay late for work. The story pops in your head. You say, why does this always happen to me? Here's what we do. We spot. We identify, hey, that was a negative story. There is power in identification. Again, if you want proof behind this, if you take your hand and you put it on a hot stove, if you don't immediately identify that the stove is hot, more than likely you're going to burn you're going to burn the mess out of your hand. And then you're going to be left with nerve damage, scar tissue, and now your hand's gonna look all funky, and then you're gonna be the funky looking hand person. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't say that. There's nothing wrong with having deficiencies. This is just for the power of the story, right? So you identify what the issue is. Hey, that was a negative story. How can I change that now? If you don't know an empowering story, or don't have an empowering story in your tool belt of what you can replace it with after you've identified the problem, right? If you're in a boat and your boat's going across the ocean and you identify that there's a leak in the ship, are you just gonna walk away? No, you're not just gonna walk away. You're gonna go and you're gonna try and fix it by all means necessary. You're gonna grab some Gorilla Glue, some duct tape, some bubble gum. I mean, whatever you got, just start trying to plug this hole. And that's what you have to do with these matters of the brain. It's not just a negative story. This is your life at hand. You have to ask yourself, do I really want life change right now? Or am I happy with the life that I'm continuing to live? And yes, it just may be vocabulary. Yes, it just may be a quote unquote story. But this is what's causing a lot of the issues inside of your life. So now we reach in, we grab our tool belt, and look, right there in front of us, we have the tool necessary to handle the task at hand, which is to replace the negative story that keeps occurring in your life. And the more empowering story, instead of it being, why does this always happen to me, is now, what is there to gain from this? And you know what? That one's not even that good. So let's come up with something else. You ready? Let's find something else. If you find yourself saying, why does this always happen to me? Let's say, what can I learn from this experience? What can I learn from this experience here? Or how can I make this the best experience possible? Yep, we just did that. We just did that in a real freaking time. Give yourself a hand. We just figured out an empowering story instead of a negative story, just by simply shifting the words, the vocabulary, and the context of what we're saying. Instead of, why does this always happen to me? It's not even always just the story that you're telling yourself. It's how you're saying it. You don't just become depressed. You don't just become unenthused. You have to do depressed. You have to do unenthused. It's not just the words, it's how you say the words. If, again, Joe Bob, if Joe Bob comes up to you and says, I'm excited, versus, yeah, I'm excited. There's a difference. The words are there, but the voice tonality, how you're using your language, how you're using your body is not matching and is not congruent with what you're saying. So line up the congruency with the excitement in your words, the excitement in your voice, the excitement in your body. And if you're the person saying, that's easier said than done, you know what? I'm going to call your card right now. I think you're full of crap. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think you're full of crap. I just don't think you're trying hard enough. Yep, I said it. I don't think you're trying hard enough. How can you do better? I know there's been a time in your life where you have been excited about something. I know at some point you've watched some Netflix series, some TV show, some documentary that's had you on the edge of your seat and cheering and excited and enthused just from being in that, in that moment during that show. And if you can do that for a TV show, you can do that for your life. You can do that for your life. By all means, call upon your inner power, right? Call upon your inner power. So, we've armed ourselves, we've spotted, we've identified, and we've grabbed from our handy dandy tool belt. We've come up with our more empowering story. We've now replaced our negative story with our more empowering story, and we're now going to match our voice, tonality, and body posture with what we're saying, and that is the difference maker. If I could ever spot and tell someone why incantations don't work for them or why mantras don't work for someone, if you've ever been that person who's done mantras or incantations of everything I need is within me now, or I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm vibrant, I'm alive, whatever these little sayings are, most of the time the reason they're not working for you is because you're not working them. Yes, I said it again. You're not working them. If you're not showing up to the plate excited and out of your mind, then how could you expect your life to change? The reason you cheer so hard for that person on Sunday nights during the NFL game, if you're a person that watches sports, is because that person is not just showing up to the plate haphazardly with just a modest intent in mind. They're showing up and giving it their all. They're showing up and putting their heart on the line, and you need to do that with your life. If you're the person running across negative stories in your life and you find yourself saying on a daily basis, why does this always happen to me? Change your story. Change your life. You have the power. Not because I said so, but because it's always been within you. If you need proof, look back at empowering times in your life. I know you got this. Alright, that has been another episode of the Adler Perspective. I've hoped you gained some incredible insight. I've been excited this entire podcast. It's just me sitting here in my room. Or in my office, I should say. And I'm just pumped up because I know this information that we're coming across, the information that we're discussing, is just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's so much more to this, and I can't believe we're just getting started. There's so much more that we're going to discover. There's so much more we're going to tap into. And there's so many lives that are going to be impacted by this information, because this information has impacted my life. And not just my life, but the lives of those that I've coached, the lives of those that I've been around, and not just told them about this information, but they saw me living and then asked me how. I know this stuff works, and it can work for you. So with that being said, I will catch you next time on another episode of the Adler Perspective. Peace. Hey, it's Connor again. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the show and it gave you some fresh perspective and some new insights. Before you leave, take a moment, go through the rest of the content, see if anything's for you. And if it is, hit the subscribe button, like, and comment what you'd like to hear next. Peace.